Hello and welcome to the Women's Football Review. I'm Maria, and unfortunately tonight there's no Samara, but she will be back next week. But for tonight and just tonight only, so don't get too used to this, Rich, thinking you can just come in and talk women's football all the time with us. That was a joke. That was a joke. That was a joke. That was a joke. We have got Rich from Eagle Eye Football himself joining us to chat women's football. How are you, Rich?
I'm very good, and I'm glad to be on. It's obviously, like I said, it's something I've always wanted to learn more about, so I really appreciate the invite.
No problem at all. So we're going to talk about the Women's FA Cup semi-finals that also took place on the weekend, as well as the other semi-finals that I'm sure everybody knew about or attended. I think everyone on Eagle Eye Football actually managed to get to a semi-final last weekend. Some with more favourable results than others, but we don't need to talk about that for now. No, we won't talk about that. So we had the Women's FA Cup semis. They weren't played at Wembley. They were played at the home grounds of the hosting teams. So we had West Ham women v Man City. Man City won 4-1, so that was very, very convincing from the City women, unlike their male counterparts on Saturday. So they get to go through. They're going through to the final. And we also had on the Sunday, Arsenal women played Chelsea women, and Chelsea won that one 2-0. So they will be facing Man City at Wembley in May. So that's pretty exciting for them. It's quite interesting how, we had City and Chelsea in the women's semis as well. So they're going to be playing at Wembley, which is pretty exciting. Just the lower tiers are going to be filled at the stadium. That's what you can get down to. Will you be going along, Rich? You interested in watching the FA Cup semis?
Yeah, I'm actually planning to go with the family if I can. If not, then 100% will definitely come down with Nyla, because I just want her to be able to, although she's 5, I want her to be able to see female role models in multiple aspects, and what better way to watch a cup final. The weather should be decent. It'll be a day out as well. So, yeah, I'm hoping to get down there myself.
And which side will you be backing? At women's matches, just to make it clear that the crowd is mixed, so you don't sit on either side. But who are you going to be backing? You've got to pick a side. Come on, you can't be cheering both ends. Of course
I'm not cheering either. I'm just hoping to see a very good game of football.
You're not cheering. You're not going to be cheering. So what are you going to do when they score? You're just going to say,
obviously, no. I'll obviously say, oh yeah. I'm not going to actually be like.
Well, that's not very sincere, is it? That's disappointing.
I'm not going to be like. No, I'm actually going. No, I'm going to cheer the teams. I'm going to cheer the teams. Yeah. Both teams. If Chelsea score, I'm going to cheer. If Man City score, I'm going to cheer. I'm not going to have any allegiances.
Wow, I wanted you to pick a side.
I can't do that.
Pick a side, buy the scarf, wave it around on the day. No? You're not into this two-team business?
Nah, none of that nonsense. I'll probably come with my Palace gear as well.
You're going to wear Palace gear to watch Man City women beat Chelsea. I thought you'd be like against Chelsea after the weekend's results, surely. Again, we don't talk about that. We won't talk about that. No, well, I've picked my side. I've picked my side for the women's game. I'm going for City, so...
Any reason behind that? You laugh as well.
Well, there's a few reasons. I don't like Chelsea's. That's one. That's probably the main reason. I like the background giggles there. She agrees. But also, many, many years ago, when I was little, when I was about 4 or 5, I always remember like my brothers and my dad would watch football on Saturdays, Sundays, whenever it was on telly, and there was a match, and for some reason it stuck in my mind, and it was Man City v Man United which was very confusing to my 4-year-old brain because it didn't make sense because they were both called Manchester. So I used this is quite embarrassing actually. I used to think that it was one team and they were called Manchester U City, which my brothers thought was hilarious. I know. I was 4. My brothers thought it was hilarious, and they actually allowed me to believe that there was a team called Manchester U City, and that I supported that team. It was very embarrassing. I eventually found out it didn't exist, but brothers being brothers, they actually allowed me to keep saying that for a number of years. So yes, I've decided to go Man City for the women's FA Cup final.
When you say a couple of years, did you go to school saying Manchester U City?
I don't know.
Because that would have been mad.
I don't know, but I was very little, so maybe 4 or 5. Maybe other people didn't know what Manchester City was. I don't think Man City were a thing then, and it were a particularly big team then anyway, in that sense. So maybe they would have let it go. So there you go. You've all heard my story about Manchester City. Now I was clearly a stupid child, and my brothers, who were much older than me, thought it was hilarious and just allowed me to carry on with Manchester City.
That's mad.
Yeah. So we've got that coming up, and actually I'm going as well. Really, really looking forward to it. And Samara, who is a Man City fan, so I'm going to just support Samara in this one, seeing as her team lost on Saturday. This Saturday gone.
Fair enough.
Yes. So just having a quick look at the comments. Hopefully Palace women's team will win and finish the season strong. Yes. So actually that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. There's only a couple of games left now in the women's season. So I would highly, strongly encourage people to get down and go and watch their women's team this weekend and the weekend after. We've got Palace women are in fact playing on Sunday, and I think they're playing. Oh, hang on, I should know this, and I can't remember. Watford, isn't it? Yeah. So playing Watford on Sunday at Hayes Lane. So if there's any Crystal Palace fans currently watching, get yourself down there. It's really cheap. It's £8. It's a lovely atmosphere. So it'd be great to just see some more people back in the women's game. And that goes everyone who's currently watching. Got their regular sort of men's team that they watch. Yep, the Watford. Get yourselves down to your local women's team and support them. They work hard in the week training. Let's show them some love. So get down and support them. So kind of sort of carrying on the women's. I just mentioned obviously Crystal Palace play at Hayes Lane, which is a smaller ground. They don't play at the main Crystal Palace ground at Selhurst Park. There's been a little bit of controversy around the Women's Euros, which are coming up this summer. Again, definitely worth getting along to and watching some of those games. I think it'll be really exciting.
How many games are at? How many games are at Wembley? I saw the one.
I don't think there's many actually, because when I was looking at the London games, they seem to be played at the London Stadium. I think was on there and various other grounds. So I'm not 100% sure. So I was just trying to find it, but I'm not sure. But I think what's been discussed at the moment is whether there's been a bit of controversy around the stadiums that have been selected, the football grounds. So, should women be playing at the big stadiums, the main ones, and not filling them? Because at the moment, the women's game isn't as popular as we know as the men's. Or should they be going for smaller stadiums that are going to fill out and create a better atmosphere and hopefully, get a bit more support for the players on the day? And at the same time, encourage others to see that and then think, oh, hang on, there's loads of people there. I want to go along and experience that as well. So there's definitely been a bit of a Twitter debate on this, and I know people have been talking about it a lot. What's your thoughts on the stadiums that women play at? Should they be playing at the regular club stadiums, or is it right at this stage that they stick to the smaller stadiums, which perhaps will bring in a greater crowd, a more full up feeling in the crowd?
This is so tough. I can see both sides.
Yeah,
I can see both sides. Because I guess in one aspect you can look at it and think, all right, if the women's are not, if the women are not allowed, well, not allowed, but they're not playing at the the main stadiums and the normal club level, why didn't open it up for them to do it on a national level? But then on the flip side, the national side gets a lot more support.
Yes,
I would
that's
say.
true.
So there's no harm in having a Wembley or a London stadium because they'll still get a decent turnout. You know, I guess obviously, especially with TV companies, one thing they hate is seeing empty seats. You know, and that's empty seats equals less viewing and less money, and I think that's all they really care about, which obviously would be a massive hindrance to the women's game and stuff. So first and foremost, I think it's down to fans to make sure that they get down there. And that in itself will help obviously broaden the scope for TV to show more games, which they should be doing anyway. And they're not, which is embarrassing. So yeah, you know what? No, play at the main stadiums.
Play at the main stadiums.
Yeah, the main stadiums. Because I also, when you look at it, if they're saying the games at Wembley, people will take notice.
Yeah. But do you think that then, if it's not full, or as you said, there's those blocks of empty seats, that then people start to think, oh, well, you know, it's not worth watching, or there's no crowd, there's no atmosphere.
That could come to mind. That could come to mind. I
can imagine on Twitter, for example, where a lot of this stuff, exactly. There'll be the whole, well, women shouldn't be playing football anyway, and that's why they're not full, and the game isn't as exciting.
You get the whole sexist comments and stuff like that, but you get those from the idiots as it is.
Yeah, you know? It's true.
But I guess we got to think about the players, because obviously we want to see the women as players, you know, and as much as the men, like look at Conor Gallagher, he was upset he couldn't play at Wembley.
Yeah.
The women will feel the same way, an opportunity to play at Wembley.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think that's the thing that should supersede anything else. You know, they can't play at their club's main stadium at the moment, but they can play at Wembley, or they can play at the London Stadium, which holds about 60,000 stuff. So go for it. Let them play.
It'd be interesting to see how the FA Cup final goes, actually, and whether the tickets will sell. I think one of the other bonuses at the moment, whilst women's football is still growing in this country, is the ticket prices are quite good, really reasonable. So, for example, I don't know if is this right? Is the FA Cup £20?
20 or 25, depending where you're sitting.
20 or 20, yeah. So that's, I mean, compared to what was paid on the weekend for the men's FA Cup semis, which was anything from, I don't know what the cheapest was, about £25, I think, for a child ticket, perhaps.
Yeah.
Ranging up to,
so for an adult, it was 45, but then you got fees. So let's say £50. I think when they gave us more tickets, because obviously Chelsea didn't sell out, I think it went up to like 75.
So yeah, I think there was a 75, 72, 50, something like that.
Yeah.
So being able to go to Wembley, which is an experience in itself, for like £20, £25, I think is pretty awesome. And the kids' tickets are really reasonable as well. So
I'm sure they were like £2.50
for little kids. Yeah, I think so. And again, like at the women's matches, I know, for example, Crystal Palace, I've only been to the, oh no, that's not true, actually, I've been to other women's matches as well. But at Crystal Palace, for example, kids go free. So it's a brilliant intro to football in a smaller, maybe safer feeling environment, or with, you know, less shouting in that sort of aggressive way, perhaps, that you might get at the main stadium. So really nice intro to football for children, girls, young people. Do the smaller stadiums suffer on the quality of the pitch? Well, I don't know. I think that depends, you know. I don't know. I think it depends. It depends what league the teams are in, for a start, and it depends where they're playing. It's the same kind of thing, to be honest, as with men's football. It just depends where they're playing. Again, the matches I've been to, one was at the Emirates. That was they're playing on an incredible pitch, so there wasn't really an issue there.
What was the turnout there, by the way?
Is an Astro. Sorry.
What was the turnout for the Wolfsburg Arsenal?
I don't know the actual figures, but just from like what I saw, it was pretty full. But
That's
but saying that, Rich, saying that, they only actually opened a side of the stadium. So it didn't have anyone behind goals and there was no one on the opposite side.
That's still good though.
But they filled it out. I think Arsenal women actually do really well, and they've got some really dedicated fans and fans who are actual fans of the women's team. And what I mean by that is that they're not just there because they're going along because they're Arsenal, because they're Arsenal fans and they can get tickets. They go because they actually fully support Arsenal women. So there were groups of girls, which was really amazing to see, and boys. It wasn't just girls, men and women. Groups of them who were fully fledged women's fans, women's football fans, women's Arsenal fans. And the amazing thing about Arsenal is they actually sell women's merch as well. So they've got the team shirts with the names, and there were people there wearing those. So
That's good.
it's quite established there.
I'm going to chuck out a challenging question to you, which you probably may not know the answer to.
Sure.
Like I said, I'm all about learning. Do you think that Arsenal women have done this and because of their success, as in like, do other clubs, do they have the capability to sell merch at stadiums and such?
I think, all right, I'll tell you a little bit. I know a little bit about Arsenal and and kind of their impact on the community and the work that they do. I think they have been excellent as a business, excellent marketeers. They've really marketed and promoted the women's game into the community. They do huge amounts of work in schools, and I know that loads of teams do stuff in schools. I know that, but they do stuff with the women's team as well, which is a little bit more unusual. So they'll go into the secondary schools, they'll do some training, they'll do this, they'll do that.
Okay, that's really
And I think what they've done, and they do a lot of after school stuff, they do a lot of holiday programs, which are open to everyone. And I think what they've done is they've generated a kind of almost like celebrity status about the women's team, which
Right.
is quite different to not to all women's teams, others are like that as well, but it is quite different compared to perhaps some of the other women's teams. And I think on the back of that, they've produced the merchandise. And to be honest, it's not that big a deal printing a woman's name on the back of the shirt instead of the man's name. And they've just gone out of their way to really promote that game,
That's
to
awesome.
promote that. And it's a clever it's clever in the sense of they've pulled the team in, they see it as one, they kind of see it as one team, but there's the men and the women, and that's really nice. So and the fact that they do play at the Emirates, because they don't play there every game, but there are games at the Emirates where the women play, and they're really celebrated
That's wicked. That's good to hear.
as a team in itself. And as I said, they've got their own fans. There were groups of teenage girls there, and this was really nice to see because we talk about young people not having anything to do. To see groups of teenage girls going with their mates down to a football match,
Yeah,
I mean, that's really cool. That's really cool.
that's awesome.
So I think Arsenal have been clever with the way that they've done it, and they're really, I think they want to make it successful. They want to be the best women's team, and they're doing a really good job of it. I mean, they have to be good at something, Arsenal, right? Although they did all right there, but we'll give them that yesterday or whatever it is.
I mean, it's just obviously listening because it's just nice to hear that you're saying like groups of young teenagers because they could get caught up in anything. And not only that, I guess,
Exactly.
I mean, there's a massive issue with obviously groups of females. They find it difficult to go to games and stuff due to like comments and misogyny and all that sort of stuff. So it's nice that at least, even with the women's game, that they can go and enjoy that. And it's like a safe space.
Family show, everyone.
Listen, when the lights go on, she knows.
She's going to be hosting this soon.
Absolutely. I'm going to train her real quick.
So what you were saying about seeing groups of girls going together somewhere and feeling perfectly safe doing so, that was something that really struck me at the Emirates, at Arsenal. And as I said, they genuinely, I mean, what I would have been interested in, and maybe if I'd been, I kind of reflected on it afterwards, but maybe if I was thinking a bit more at the time, I would have loved to go and speak to some of those girls and find out if they ever go to Arsenal matches, like the men's matches, and if they support the men's team as well, or if they see themselves as Arsenal women's football fans,
Okay.
which would be really, really interesting. Thank you, United Abroad. So that's really cool. And actually, the other thing that struck me at the Arsenal match was that there were boys there as well. There were teenage boys there who were fully behind the team. So again, it's another way into watching football without it for a start costing a fortune, but also getting the full football experience. And they got everything happened at that match. They had the mascot there. They had these like giveaways. They had interviews. I mean, this was a Champions League match, so a little bit different. But I know that Arsenal women do make a bigger fuss of their games, and I think having the mascot, having the merch, all of that kind of stuff, it makes a huge difference. It pulls you in. That's what builds atmosphere. So it'd be great to see a lot more of that. And that, as I said, having that part of the stadium open was I mean, the Emirates is huge, so it was amazing that they did fill that area of the stadium. And that's why sometimes it can be a bit frustrating when we think of perhaps like Selhurst Park, which we go to week in, week out. And it'd be amazing if they could, just one in a season. And if Arsenal can fill the side of their stadium, I mean, I think there is support for the women's team amongst Crystal Palace fans, but sometimes the timing, the location, and so on, it isn't near Selhurst Park. It's not an easy one to get to either. I think it's pretty much somewhere you have to be able to drive to, or
because the nearest station is Bromley South, and that's still.
And you can't. I mean, it's a walk. You can walk there, but it's a long walk. It's a long walk. So, or you'd have to get a bus and whatever, and then you've still got to walk in through there's like horses and fields and all that kind of stuff. It's a unique stadium. So, in contrast, when I think of, I know people want to go to the Palace matches, and I spoke to quite a lot of people the other day at the semi-final, and they're like, yeah, I would go, but I didn't know when it was, or I didn't know there were matches, or I didn't know they played at where they play, or it's too far, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And at Hayes Lane, they literally have a handful of people going every match, but really dedicated fans, but a handful. Like, I think at the match that I went to, I mean, I don't even know if there were 100 people there. But if they opened up Selhurst, you could definitely fill out one of the,
I think so,
at least a chunk of a stand. I'm sure they'd be able to fill out a stand, or maybe either end or something. But they need to advertise it and just get people interested and wanting to go there, and having stuff like the women's jersey, the women's names available, and to actually go and buy a women's kit. And a kit that's made for women would be awesome. And at the moment, Palace don't do that, and most of the other teams don't do it. So I don't know. It takes investment and it takes time to get it there. So that's why I'm saying it's so amazing if people can go and support their local women's team this weekend. And I say that, and I actually can't go because I'm actually going to be away this weekend, so I can't even go. But
I had actually planned to go this weekend, and then something's popped up. So
I'd considered going to their away match. Their final match is in Sheffield, and I was like, could I go up, be the away end of Sheffield? But it'd be great if we could just make more of it, really. So what we were talking about, stadiums. So I was going to say how there was I don't know if you saw it. There was, I think, the Iceland national team, women's team, were a bit offended that their fixture is going to be played at the Man City training ground, which is where Man City women play. And they felt it was disrespectful to the game because they were being put on a training ground. But I think maybe what they didn't realise is actually the training ground is where the women's team play, and it's not on the training pitches. It's actually they've actually got proper stands and stuff there. So it'd be. I really want to see the Euros succeed, and I really think that it'd be great to suddenly see people actually talking about women's football without that kind of shrug. Oh yeah, women's football, and whatever. And actually today on Sky, I saw an advert for some Super League matches on Sky. Plans we had to develop the MSC at Crystal Palace. I'm fairly sure CPC wanted women's games to be held at the new stadium. I'm surprised that most pro clubs don't let their women's teams play. Yeah, they don't have them on, and it's quite hard. I'm trying to kind of work out why that might be. And I think part of it is just not a worry that they won't fill it out. Sometimes fixtures are played on the same day, so again, there'd need to be some kind of scheduling going on to make sure that the men and the women are obviously not playing on the same day. We've even talked before about having two games on the same day. So you go to the men's match, you watch the women's match as well. But then again, that's a long day, isn't it? You know, you're talking 4 hours plus.
I guess that could be once in a while, though.
Once in a while, definitely. I think that'd be really good. And, you know, you've got a choice whether you arrive early or not. As you know, I arrive really early to the matches because I just like to be in the stadium quite early before everyone starts crowding in. And there's a lot of people that do that. But, you know, you could have something at halftime. You could have all sorts of stuff going on to at least advertise the fact that there are matches. But I'd love to see more matches being played at the big stadiums. It'd be really cool. Right, I'm just looking at our agenda, so I've got it on my phone. So yeah, again, kind of leading on to what we were saying about girls attending football matches and feeling safe to go, and you know, like the women's game could be one of the ways into football. I was reading today, I actually put this up on my Twitter, about this drop off in girls actually taking up sport beyond primary school, or sort of dropping off once they get to secondary school. And was thinking how maybe if we had more televised women's football, that maybe that would actually encourage girls to want to do more sport at school, and kind of get them more interested in doing sport and carrying on with PE. But then I also know that some schools don't offer a huge range of sport for girls at school, so there's this kind of huge cultural shift that has to happen. I mean, you're at primary school, aren't you, Rich?
Yeah, I'm at primary, and
what kind of stuff is offered up for? I mean, that's PE's mixed at primary schools.
Generally. Yeah, it is mixed. However, I know our school, the PE teacher does try to get not only mixed tournaments, but also just girls tournaments and boys tournaments as well. So we try to get a wide range in our school, and obviously going across the schools around Southwark as well. So, but yeah, it was quite surprising to hear about the secondary school drop off.
It's actually quite. So I used to be a secondary school teacher, and I used to see this as there was a massive drop off. So I'd say by the time they get to about 8, 9, the girls start bringing in notes to say that they want to be, you know, they need to be excused, or forgetting PE kits, or just generally not wanting to do sport. And a lot of it is down to the sport that's offered, as well as kind of obvious physical changes that happen. But sometimes it's just the sport that's offered. So the typical ones for girls are like netball and hockey. And netball and hockey isn't for everyone. And it's also something you don't see on TV. When do you put the TV on and watch a netball match? Never. And you know, and that's the same, unless it's the Olympics where you do those kind of things.
Yeah.
And again, hockey, the kind of hockey that girls play at school, you don't see that on TV. So you don't see, you know, really famous netball and hockey stars. So there's no real, you know, what's offered isn't exactly inspiring girls to think, oh, I want to get into sport. Whereas other schools, there are schools that offer girls football or have football teams coming in to train girls, which I think that kind of stuff tends to pull girls in a little bit more. And I know at the school I went to when I was at school about 100 years ago, we used to have girls football, and or 150. We were really unusual because I remember, like, my cousin used to go to a neighbouring school, and they just stuck to their, you know, it was very much the girls' sports, and they stuck to that. Whereas we did basketball, we did football, and I remember like everyone did PE. There was no like drop off. Everyone did it, and they wanted to do it, and we loved it. But again, when I was teaching, I used to see it. The girls just didn't want to get involved. They didn't want to do it. So I think there's a lot of work to be done, but it isn't just in schools. I think it's around like the media and sports stars and the people that we see. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I guess that's right because even with the advertisements regarding girls in sports, they do tend to target more primary.
yeah, yeah. It's so
Yeah,
hard to find stuff out of school really for girls that are older than 11, 12 years old, unless you're already a great athlete. So, girls who are great at running or athletics or gymnastics, or have got some kind of, like they've been picked out for a team at school. You generally, I mean, you rarely hear girls talking about going to play a sport in a park with their friends. It doesn't happen. Whereas boys, when we go and play football in the park, it'd be great to
I
see
think
girls
that's a
getting to
very
do
good
that.
point actually because I guess with football you can just go into a park
Yeah, you just
and
need a
there's not
ball.
really a
It's,
yeah,
it's
there's
easy.
not a cost
Yeah.
to it. But obviously, with most of the girls or women's sports, you like if you're looking at volleyball,
Netball,
hockey,
hockey,
netball,
big
most of them,
stuff.
yeah, most of them are indoors. You obviously do have outdoor provision for them as well
Yeah,
and such, and then obviously the cost of getting the actual correct outfit
yeah, yeah.
and even just bibs and stuff like that. So that is actually, yeah, you know what, resources are actually it's a bigger problem than I thought.
Mm. There's nothing. There just isn't really. I can't think of a single sport where girls would just be like, "I'm going to go and play in the park with my friends." There isn't anything. And then I suppose the other side of it is, say there was, you've then got a bunch of girls potentially at a park wanting to play football, and there's already the boys who are always there playing football, and you're going to have that kind of, well, unfortunately, the kind of things that we probably are trying to combat in the football ground
Yeah,
with
that's a good
fans,
point.
and girls kind of battling for their spot on the pitch. So we talk about stadiums not allowing their women's teams to play at the main stadium. It's a bit like that. Suddenly you get a bunch of girls going, we want to go and play football, but there's already the boys there who are sort of established there and have been there always. They don't want to let the girls play football. So it's a really difficult one. And I think, I think at primary school where they do mixed games, I think that's kind of the answer. I'm not saying it should be a mixed sport, but I'm saying if boys and girls are mixed together at an early age playing football or whatever else it is, but football obviously is kind of the main one we're talking about, then maybe it won't seem like such an alien concept to boys as well, accepting girls in the footballing community and in football games later on in life and at the park or in the street playing football. So, it's a big shift that we're asking, but something ultimately has to be done. And the effect of sport on girls, like mental health and their well-being and all of those things. And as we know, sport can really help get people just motivated, interested in other things, as well as fit and healthy. It's amazing, and it's just a shame it isn't pushed more, and that sports that
Yeah,
maybe girls are seeing on TV aren't then being offered to them to play. And we can say, yeah, but we've got Serena Williams and this and that. Tennis, for example, is blooming expensive
yeah,
to play. You can't just rock up and play tennis anywhere. So
that's a good point. Yeah,
it these are expensive things, and yet we've got something as simple and exciting to play as football, and yet it's just not the done thing at all.
yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking about what could be the reasons why girls also don't participate, especially from 11 years old.
Yeah.
And I guess it's the stigma that comes with it. You
Mm,
know, if girls play football, immediately they're associated to being homosexual
yeah.
in a sense as well, or a tomboy.
Yeah, there's all these silly, just stupid labels or
Yeah. So I guess that's
judgments.
a big fight in itself.
Yeah, and that can, I mean, that messes with. If first start, it will put you off because you're going to be teased and told you're this or that or the other. When actually you're just a girl who wants to play sport. That's all. It's nothing to do with your sexuality or anything. So that's the problem, is that all this stuff ends up creeping in because of what we're told, because of the way that we're told we're meant to behave and the things we're meant to like. So even I get asked, "Oh, do you really like football?" people just always question it. Do you really like football? Do you really like? Do you just go along because I, as you know, I take my son to watch football matches, but I like football. So there's this assumption that the only reason I go is because I'm taking him, rather than the reason I go is because I enjoy it. Because believe me, as much as I want to do nice things for my son, I really can't imagine that if I didn't like it, I would go week in, week out to go and watch it. So there's so many things that we need to overcome and understand that
Yeah. And to be fair,
you're quite
what's not nice about watching Palace?
what's what nice, what's not nice.
Yeah,
Oh no, I mean obviously,
of course you
yeah,
enjoy
what,
it,
yeah,
especially
I
this
mean,
season.
how could I not? Yeah, how could I not? How could I not? It's incredible. I mean, I do. I mean, I do love watching Palace. It's true. I'm not gonna lie. I love watching Palace. We know, you know, I do. And I'm there like for hours beforehand and hours afterwards, and waiting for the players. I'm the first one out, literally going running along to try and get a picture. So, but wouldn't it be great if we could do that with the women's
Yeah,
matches? And actually, at women's, you've got more of an opportunity to meet the players as well because they come over at the end of the matches. They
they
sign
do.
stuff. They take
They
pictures.
do, don't they? Yeah.
So they're putting so much effort into really getting to know the fans and building that rapport. You don't get that at a Premier League match. Can you imagine the whole team coming over to the side and leaning over, taking pictures, signing stuff? Doesn't happen. So I think women's football is a huge opportunity for football in making it accessible, not just more for more women, but for everyone. For everyone, it's brilliant. Just read this comment. It's very integral for parents and teachers to encourage that shift. Also, be uh, be positive influences at home or outside as well. Definitely, I think it's down to everyone, and sometimes it does come from home. This idea that, so you know, schools, most schools, I'd hope, are quite inclusive, and they try and encourage people to try and encourage the kids to get involved in a bit of everything. Sometimes the sort of the problem is at home where parents have got certain ideas and stereotypes in their head of what you should and shouldn't be doing. So, I
That's a
mean, I
good
know
point.
when I was about 15, 14, 15, it was, I think, like the summer holidays or something. I was with my cousins. We went to a youth club or summer, I don't know, something like that, a youth thing for the summer while our parents were at work. And we were playing football in the park, and someone came up to me and asked if I'd be interested in playing for the local women's girls team at the time. I remember going home and I was really excited that I'd been spotted, and I was like, "Oh, I've been asked to do this," and I just remember my dad going, "Yeah, football's not for girls," and that was it. End of conversation. And that's all it takes. But that's all it takes, Rich. It just takes one
Yeah.
comment like that for you to go, "Oh," and for you to kind of question that. "Oh, all right, yeah, no, I won't go then." So it definitely comes from home as well. I think there's a lot of support for doing stuff in school. I mean, a lot more can be done in secondary schools, especially. But I think at primary school, there's a lot of support there. But we just need that backup at home, on TV, on social media, and not just focus on how the women look all the time. You know, we don't need to, it doesn't matter about all of that. Let's focus on the sport and the love of it. That'd be so, and but you know, bring in those kind of feminine aspects to it. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think we just need to focus on the actual sport and the benefits of doing it, and seeing superstars born. You know, female football superstars, which we've got already. We've got some amazing stars, but it'd be great to see more of that. What's this one saying? Super Nick. For far too long, sport has not been seen as an important part of development, and girls suffer the most. Instead of competing with each other, academia and sports should have equal importance. Definitely, definitely. And you're right. So quite often, you know, women are kind of pitted against each other with certain things that, you know, we talk about women aren't always, they don't sort of support each other and raise each other up. We end up picking on silly things like what someone's wearing, what someone's this, what someone's doing, instead of let's just support each other and go out and play a nice team sport. A lot of the women's sports that are kind of pushed aren't necessarily about, well, they are team sports, but you know, let's get everyone together and get them working together and really supporting that. Exactly, putting academic stuff together with sports and showing that there is an equal, that it is of equal importance. I think in this country, too much, you're either sporty or you're not. So you're either like really academic and getting on with schooly stuff, or you're not. So it's a really important debate. I think it's quite a, it's something that we have to get over, and I'm not sure how we can do that. Rich, what do you find with that in terms of like schools and stuff? Do you think that there's, I mean, I actually worked at a sports college, so sport was massive there, and actually it was more important to them to be sporty than academic, to be honest. But even then, we still saw girls drop off in PE. But I think, you know, like at a primary school, do you think that sport is of an equal importance, would you say, to like doing literacy and maths?
I wouldn't say it's of equal importance because it's only once a week per class.
Exactly. The timing as well tells us how.
Yeah. However, and I'm only going to speak for the school that I work at. Like the PE teacher makes a big deal out of it. Like and participation is key. Like if there are any girls that try to cop out, and they can do at a very young age, he's on to their parents straight away. So, now listen, this is a vital part of your week, because I guess what, and I don't know if this is a parent thing, because like we take them swimming on a Friday, and already we've got some parents that are just like, oh no, so-and-so's not going to come this week. But the whole aspect of physical activity is so much bigger than just playing sport. There's the social side to it. You know, there's the mental health side to it. There's just defragging from being in a classroom.
Definitely,
That's the biggest part of it. I mean,
do the kids get excited just going to the swimming pool?
Yeah, and even just doing PE, they love it. I mean, it's very hard for me to teach in the afternoon because it's so excited after PE. But I kind of, as a teacher, I just find that middle ground. Guys, listen, I understand that you're very excited with this. Give me this amount of work, and then we'll have a discussion about how your PE lesson went and stuff. So trying to find the middle ground with it. But I can't really have a go at them for being excited. Because all that's going to do is just be like, oh, well, Serge is going to be moody with us after PE. You know?
Have you ever tried? Okay, so I taught a while ago. I left teaching a while ago. But I taught during one of the World Cups. And as I said, I taught at a sports college. And the World Cup, we actually used to give the kids the morning off. I can't remember which country. I can't remember now which one it was. But we'd give the kids the morning off. They still had to come in, but they didn't do lessons. So we would be in the hall screening the World Cup on the screen.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
Well, we did it, and we had to do it because we knew that the kids wouldn't come in. Football was massive at the school. Any kids who weren't interested, because there were some, obviously, they were allowed to go and do a different activity for that morning. So it was massive. It was a massive, massive thing. But it was also something that everyone wanted to talk about as well. So like school assemblies were around the World Cup and so on. And I remember, so I used to teach humanities, and I was teaching history and geography. I taught history, geography, and that kind of stuff, PSHE. And I realized that there was no point in me trying to teach them World War II during the World Cup because they weren't interested. They wanted to talk about football. So we ended up adapting our lessons to talk about football, but from the perspective of the lesson. So I taught these lessons on the history of the World Cup, and they loved it. And they were still hitting all the objectives that you're meant to do. We were still talking a little bit about whatever we needed to talk about, but it was about something that they were really interested in. And I think if around these kind of key moments, key sporting moments, schools, work, businesses, all these people, if you really embrace it, then people really can get into it, and it really gives a big, big boost to that sport. And it shows kids that actually sport's a really cool thing. It's a really great thing.
Absolutely.
And it does weave itself into all aspects of life, be it, you know, if you just like fashion. I mean, I love football tops. I've got a huge collection of them from all sorts of different teams. And you can literally weave it into everything: fashion, food, sport, obviously, maths, all of that kind of stuff. You can make a huge thing of it. And it's that kind of stuff that can get schools and kids interested a little bit more into it. So you know, there's a huge amount.
I'm all for showing sports in school. Like in my class, I kind of use it as a reward as well. You know, so like a couple of years ago during the World Cup, I was like, listen, let's have a solid day. All right, you have a solid body. We work hard. I'll scrap one of the lessons. We'll watch again.
Yeah.
And stuff. During the last Euros, I made my whole class do a sweepstakes, and I bought a prize. So obviously, whoever won the Euros for the sweepstakes, so they went home and they were watching. They were coming in with like, "Sir, did you see the Croatia match against that Czech Republic?" One of them was like, "Oh my gosh, I watched North Macedonia play. They really tried." And I'm just like, "Well, I didn't even watch that game."
But it's also an opportunity for them to learn beyond the sport, so they can learn about countries, flags, all that kind of stuff. So like my son, when he was little, he learned about that.
Their sweepstake country, I said, "All right, now go off and research about their
so
country, create a PowerPoint about it, and present it to the class and stuff." And it was just a fun way of learning and such. Wimbledon, I stick the tennis on in the afternoon if it's on. And stuff. Like, at any point, and I'm like, even if they're doing their work, I'm like, "Listen, guys, just keep doing your English work. But just know
because I need to watch the sports, kids. You do your work, I'm going to watch this." But it's a reward for you.
I'll keep the tennis on in the background and stuff, but just make sure you're quiet because you can't let the teacher know.
Exactly. That's really good though, because it shows that an important, a correlation between real life, what you're doing, how it all fits in. And sport is a huge thing that brings people together. So it's a shame that it should then divide people once they try and get involved in it. So I think that's why it's so important. And it's not just, if schools don't do that, that's up to them. But as parents, as brothers, as sisters, as cousins, as families, you can still do loads of things. When you're watching a match, say something about, I wonder where that country is. Go and get a map, have a look. So you can really weave it into stuff. I just think there's so much opportunity to learn beyond sport. You don't have to be like the best footballer in the world to learn about football or enjoy football or go and play football. And that again is something else that people seem to bypass. You don't have to be an amazing sports person to play that sport and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Making sports relatable to a child's mental health and physical health in school builds resilience later life. It does. And there's so many studies and so much research saying that you should be building all of this into school. I think they were doing, might have been at my kids' primary school, they were doing a mile a day, a run in the morning or a walk or something. Maybe not a mile, I might be exaggerating there, but they were doing like a daily walk. And we're bombarded like on social media with fitness stuff. I don't know if it's because I follow certain accounts, but like going to the gym is a real thing and getting fit. And I know at the gym I see young girls there, but it doesn't, for whatever reason, it doesn't correlate. It doesn't seem to, I don't know what it is. They see fitness in that way as being different to fitness in sports.
You know about this.
Oh, here we go. What have you written? Best moment at school last year was our whole form enjoying watching Scotland v Czech Republic in form time, where Patrick Schick lobbed the keeper from the halfway line, classroom limbs. Yes, James. James often reveals things that happen in his school at moments like this, and I'm like, really? That happened at your school? Is that what you're doing at school? But then again, then you go into parent mode. Really? At school, is that what you were doing? You were watching football?
I bet he was crowd surfing as well.
Well, the thing is, I could actually imagine him doing that. And I'm surprised I didn't get a phone call about this, telling me what James was up to. Oh, dear. But hey. Hello, thank you. Pick up at the Mateta. Mateta Abbey is going to be in trouble later. Right. Right, I think. Have you got any moments like that, Rich? Any memories of?
I plead the fifth.
Oh dear. Right. Well. For what? For past demeanors at school. Having an online family argument on a live show. Anyway, I think that quickly I know. We were going to talk about one more thing. We've got a few more minutes. I've just remembered. I almost forgot. We were going to talk about balloons.
Oh yes, we were.
Will you be taking
You know what?
balloons to the
It looks
Women's
as
FA
if
Cup final?
no chance. I mean, I didn't mind blowing them up and knocking them about the place. But my goodness, we delayed kickoff.
Yeah. Was it heavily? I mean, I didn't really notice
No,
that.
it was
I mean,
about
I
2
knew there
minutes.
was only about 6 balloons on the pitch,
It
right?
was
Was there
about
more?
20 plus.
But the players look like they quite enjoy stamping on them with their studs.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, there was by the corner flag by Mendy.
Yeah.
There was about 6 whilst the game was going on.
I don't know why we're laughing.
But on that, obviously I sent you a link.
Yeah.
A Palace fan and his 6-year-old child got like ambushed by officers in vests because they brought, I think, 3,700 or something like that balloons to the game, and apparently they've been fined £100 as well for balloons.
It was quite interesting. What was your experience going into the stadium? Did the people doing the bag searches or searching say anything to you about balloons?
No, I only had like 6 in my pocket. Jordan gave them to me.
All right, so I went with a group of people, and I didn't take any balloons with me, but they had 2 bags of balloons. There was 200 balloons, and for whatever reason, I ended up with these bags of balloons. And when I went to give them back, they didn't want them. They're like, "It's all right, we've taken the ones we want." So as we were queuing to get in, they were doing bag searches, and I had the 200 balloons inside my bag, but they were in a bag, so you couldn't necessarily see what they were. So the person in front of me had their balloons taken off them. The person, the bag searcher, the security person said, "You're not allowed balloons, took them out and chucked them away." So I was thinking, oh, this is really bad. I've not only got balloons, like this person just had a few. I've got a bag of 200 in my bag. So when I opened my bag, I hope the police ain't watching and gonna get fined for this. They were like, "Okay, have a look in the bag." So I opened it and I used my hand to just move the bag of balloons. So it just looked like I was moving stuff out of the way so they could look. And they were just like, "Okay, in you go." And I got in. And yeah, I didn't start blowing up the balloons until sort of not too far from kickoff. And I was just blowing up loads and I was giving out loads to everyone. I didn't think of I don't know, apparently it's a health and safety hazard. And if we have to evacuate, the balloons can get in the way. But I don't know. And there were apparently the stewards, that's what they said. There was did you not see it? I want to send it to you. There was an official statement from the local authority to say that the reason why balloons weren't allowed was that should the stadium need to be evacuated, the balloons could get in the way on the stairs and cause trip hazards, and that they're just seen as an unsafe thing to have in the stadium. And the stewards,
who blew them up anyway?
The stewards had been issued with pins, so I don't know. I was there earlier than you inside. Did you hear suddenly it was just popping? It was like that.
No, but I could see it from like just before the game was starting. Because obviously I was looking down at the HF section, and obviously they had their own banner.
Yeah.
And as they were putting their banner up, I could see stewards just
popping. No, see, before what happened was that people started blowing up the balloons too early. So when people were just sitting down, yeah, there was a council statement. It was health and safety, apparently. People blew their balloons up too early because, if you read there was like a thing put out, we're going to do it just before kickoff. No, when the team comes out, that's when we're going to get the balloons out. So people were getting excited and blowing them off early. And so suddenly we're sitting there and all I could hear was pop, pop, pop. And I was thinking, what? But you couldn't really tell what that sound was because it was just echoing. It was like gunshots. And I was like, what is going on in here? And then I realised it was stewards going around popping people's balloons. No one came up. No one came to where I was. No one came to my balloons. So, I had 200 balloons under my seat.
How many did you actually end up blowing up?
Quite a few, actually. I gave out loads. I've still got loads. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I was kind of hoping Palace would get into the finals so I could reuse them, but hey. I'm lumbered with red and blue balloons. So if anyone out
we saw them balloons in the Eagle News.
Yeah. I just wanted to I just need to, remember the atmosphere at Wembley on the weekend. So, and hopefully at the FA Cup Women's Finals, we can recreate that atmosphere. Shall I take the balloons?
Brilliant.
We've got a lot of balloons. I mean, who's playing? City and Chelsea. Oh no, I don't want to be getting no blue for Chelsea out.
Just keep them as red and blue. Just make a statement.
So random. I might do. Might just give them to you. I'm going to be bags. Mind you, they were looking out for the balloons from Crystal Palace because so much had been said about it. So they'd obviously been told they didn't want balloons there. FA Cup Women's Final. I'm taking balloons. Taking yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that would be appreciated at Selhurst. Actually, would it? That's a silly thing. Could you imagine me getting balloons out where I stand? I'd be like, people would be like smacking me or something. Like, what are you doing? Not that people like that at Crystal Palace.
Yeah, please
They're
don't
not like
it.
that at all. Okay, yeah. Right, one last thing before we go, very quickly. So her game 2, as you know, organisation which helps combat sexism in football, and obviously, oh yeah, I thought you were just like cutting me. I was like, her game 2. Yeah, so we try and make sure that women are welcome at football games and staff and so on. Don't sort of endure any sexism. Over the weekend, it was quite interesting because the Her Game 2 reps were putting up statements onto their Twitter accounts and social media accounts to just say that if anyone was at the semi-finals and they experienced any kind of sexist behaviour or anything that was upsetting towards them, that they could contact us or report it on the Her Game 2 website. And I know that some of the other Her Game 2 reps that had put statements out had a bit of backlash from people kind of going, oh, there's no sexism here, and oh, if it's a problem, that kind of nonsense. But I have to say, not one Crystal Palace fan had anything negative to say about it. And actually it was all welcoming and everyone, really supportive. So big, massive well done to Crystal Palace fans who have really kind of embraced the campaign and want to have women at their matches without any bother, which is amazing.
There was a massive attendance, like women attendance as well.
It was great to see, actually. It was really, really, really good. I mean, matches at Wembley do kind of command that a different crowd, but I think it was just really impressive it was really lovely to see lots of women, lots of families as well, actually. Really nice. Which brings us to the end of our show. So massive thank you to Rich, and obviously for hosting our show every week as well. So thank you for stepping in.
I don't host it. You host it.
No, for the channel hosting it.
Oh, the platform. Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
like I said, when you and Samara decide, listen, we're going to do our own thing, you are more than welcome to do so. Like, I'm just glad that
we like being like football. We like it. Samara's probably a secret Crystal Palace fan, she just doesn't.
Yes, absolutely. No, honestly, like I said, I'm learning so much, and I'm sure the people in the chat.
And yeah, thank you to everyone in the chat. It's been great. My eyesight's really bad. I really should wear my glasses, which is why I do this when the comments come up. So I don't know what you lot say. I can't see it until after the show when I read comments. So hopefully everyone had really great stuff to say. The ones that I read were really good. But thank you. Thank you to everyone for tuning in.
You should have told me that from the start. I would have read them out for you then.
Instead of doing that.
Well, there's one here. Would you like me to read it?
Well, I can see it. I can see this one. Thank you very much once again. It's when there's more than a couple of lines. I'm like, whoa. I mean, I could just wear my glasses. But,
well, I bet you could definitely read these. They're laughing.
It's not nice.
I'm really joking. They're laughing.
No. Oh, it's all good. It's all good. No, thank you. Massive thank you to everyone for tuning in. Thank you for everyone's support as well. It's so good to see people really engaging with what we're doing on Twitter, and keep following, liking, subscribing.
Do not go without mentioning what you're doing tomorrow.
Oh gosh, yeah, of course. So tomorrow I am on the Daily Express Sport channel, which is on Facebook and Twitter Live. And I'll be chatting. I don't care. You can laugh at me. I literally have a very high tolerance level of being offended. I will
Brush is cool. I laugh at her all the time. It's all good.
So I'm on the Express Sport channel talking about women and football and encouraging more women to kind of get involved in the game, in supporting football and so on. So that's really exciting. 12 o'clock tomorrow, midday. Grab your sandwich, cup of tea, whatever it is you do at lunchtime, and tune in. It's on Facebook Live, and there's a link on my Twitter. So tune in. I won't be talking about balloons. I'll probably be a little bit more serious tomorrow if I can.
It's a shame because they've blocked Facebook all over my school network, so I won't be able to get the kids to listen
I've got
to them.
no way of bypassing it.
I'll see what I can do though. I'll see what I can
Watch
do.
on your phone. Watch on your phone. I've never even done Facebook Live. I'm not even going to lie. I'm not sure. I mean, we're using StreamYard anyway, so I can do that. But
I'll see what I can do.
But if anyone's able to tune in, please do. It'd be really good. Oh, thank you.
I managed to meet Virginie at the train station actually on the way to Wembley. It was very nice to actually. It's actually nice to actually meet the fans that are constantly in the comments. That was really nice.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was just hidden away. I went to Box Park and did all that kind of stuff. But yeah, all good.
Oh, look at that! I am contacting you all tomorrow at some point. They've got suggestions. I'm going to make it work.
You can do that. You can do all of that. Cool. You can put it on for the kids to watch.
That's what I'm going to do, yeah. It's 20 minutes before their lunch break, so... Yeah. Oh, wait, no. Actually, they'll be at swimming. Screw that. I'll stick my headphones on and listen to it myself.
There you go. Sorted. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and we will see you next week with Samara. Everyone's now going to do the VPNs.
I've got so many plugs.
Bye, everyone. Bye.